Having a good time.
We're live. All right, we're live. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jennifer Bagley. I have with me my co-host, business partner, Ms. Stephanie Allen. We're here for our boardroom discussion. Somebody's got a crazy microphone that's making weird noise. Paul
was moving.
It's always the tech guys that have a hard time with tech. I'm just kidding.
Don't confuse me as a tech guy.
Okay, that's fair. You're just the tall guy.
That's right. There we go.
You guys. So for those of you that have not attended Boardroom Conversation, this came about because this is where the most valuable conversations happen. They normally happen in our backyard, sitting around a fireplace, or sitting in a bar, or at midnight or 3 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of nerds trying to rap about something and solve the world's problems. There's a lot of changes happening in the industry, primarily the impact of AI on consumers, our buying process, technology. And we've got to try and figure shit out. Like, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of things that I don't think everybody has a solution for. So by bringing together these top players in the industry, the goal is to get a different perspective, to identify blind spots, to identify where there should be better collaboration across businesses, technology, across industry, and so forth. And that's really what this discussion is for. This is not a training. This is not a tutorial. This is not a how-to. It's a conversation. And hopefully out of this conversation, whoever is joining us today, as well as everyone on this call, will have some aha moments. With that, Miss Steph, if you'll kick it off, let's rock and roll.
Hey, I cannot wait. It's like so many of my favorites are here in one space, and we are going to just walk through like brilliant things today. I'm sure of it. So, I'm Stephanie Allen. I have a heating and air conditioning company here in Southern California. And as I've been chatting with my good friend Jennifer, I figured out we really needed to create a community where we were inviting contractors and tradespeople in to learn out loud together as we learn this AI game and what's happening and make that accessible. And so here today, I want to talk to you guys all about that, right? And you all have a really unique space. So I don't know if all of our screens are the same, but Brianna, you're up in the top corner for me. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Brianna came, freaking brilliant operator. And she came from a PE space and now has started her own business, near and dear to my heart, creating a business worth keeping. And so, tell us about who you are and what your goals are a little bit.
So I'm Brianna Ford. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I had the luxury of working at a small mom and pop shop to grow them up to sell to PE, and then working for another PE shop for some years. Now my husband and I have started our own company here in South Louisiana. So super grateful for that. We wouldn't be here today without the amazing community we have. We took on a partner that is amazing. Stephanie is absolutely amazing. So grateful to have her, Stephanie Postel.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Oh.
Call it Stephanie Allen. So she's been a huge help. Everyone here has been so amazing. I've had the luxury of operating companies up to 42 million. I grew a company in New Orleans from 3 million to 28 million in 3 years. So I've been able to, play with other people's money to learn how to perfect it for myself.
Dude, if I could have scooped her up, I would have, but she wouldn't leave.
I already tried. I saw this woman speak on stage one time.
Yeah.
And I literally looked at Melanie, our chief of staff, and I was like, go get her. I want her. And it was when she was at one of her other companies. I tried. I went for it, but damn.
When you know.
Crazy the way it worked too, because at that time we had no intention of starting anything anytime soon. All the cards laid out perfectly. The company.
When did you start your business?
We started our business August 4th of 2025.
And you said this is the biggest week of your career so far.
Not my career, of my business, but yes. Yeah. So it is of my career because it's our own business now. Yeah. So we're going to be, we're only 6 months in. And by the way, starting in the middle of August in Louisiana's worst time of year, we've had the worst beautiful weather that HVAC loves to have. And we'll be doing over 50,000 this week. So
if you can do it when it's hard, you can always do it.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, we started our business in 2010, and everyone said to us, "Why are you starting with the economy like this?" It was right for us, Yeah. Stephanie, tell me about you.
Did you call me Steph?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Stephanie. I'm the president of Energy. We do permits, rebates, ECC testing. We are based in California, also have an office in Canada. So we work internationally and pull permits for contractors. I'm here to support with just data because I do have a unique view when we do pull permits and do rebates for companies that are 1 to 2 million and all the way up past 100 million. So we get really close to their operations, their operators, and what they're doing. And today, my special contribution is pulling 2 years of pricing data from all over the state.
Let's go.
So I really want to be able to share that with you guys today.
Let
Sorry?
me tell you something else, though.
Interesting.
You're not just here for data, okay? Because you are a boss and you are an inspiration in the trades. And really, you are the reason that Jennifer and I are together today. So Stephanie Gorton and I went out to lunch a couple of years ago, and she told me just about how generous and loving Jennifer had treated her and was a mentor to her. And that kind of brought me back full circle. And like the rest is history for Jen and I. We're besties now. But, I needed that third party almost to tell me that I wasn't crazy and that to keep pursuing this. And now
royal bitch.
I think it'd be fun to go to lunch with a person that had the same name as me. What do you think?
It is fun.
I don't
It
know,
is
Stephanie.
fun.
What do you think, Stephanie?
I don't know, Stephanie.
And then imagine it could really screw you up though if you went to Starbucks and they'd be like, Stephanie, and you're like, oh.
Stephanie. Thank you for that really valuable contribution there, Darren.
Hey,
But it is a great
say
name.
whatever I want.
It's a great name.
You can keep it light. Paul, tell us a little bit about you and where you come from.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see everyone. Where I come from, that's a whole nother story. But Paul Redman, I'm the president of Contractor Commerce. I was just asking myself a couple of moments ago, like, how did I get invited to this? And I think that
It's your second time back.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming back.
Yeah. But it's so interesting because, our business, we didn't set out to become an AI business. And here we are at this crossroads that really the intersection of like online pricing and AI. And here we are. And I used to come to things like, oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
The reason that you came back is because you're curious and you're generous. And so, and you have a heart for the contractor, and we see it and we love that. And you're willing to help train us. And then when we gave you insight, you immediately adopted that too. And so we know that you want to be at the table. Like, we want to build the strongest table for the trades possible.
Awesome. Well,
right. And we want the smartest
that.
people at the table helping influence where we're going.
Thank you so much.
Paul, you run around this industry with zero ego. I'm just going to throw it out there. Like your personality and the genuineness that comes with everything that you do matters a lot.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very, very kind. I'm blushing. I forgot what I was going to say next. I'm doing something really cool though, so I'm going to brag for a second. So I'm at, before I introduce Brad, well, let me introduce Brad first. So Brad is our VP of AI. I used to be able to go places by myself. Now Brad goes with me everywhere, and you guys know why, right? Because we're living in a world where it is everything, right? But right now, where I'm sitting today, I'm at a contractor shop. This is Travis Crawford Heating. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They do plumbing, electrical, HVAC. They've been a customer of ours for years. One of the transitions we're going through, I had to twist their arm years ago and tell them to try this idea of putting pricing online, and trust me, it will be good for your business. And I got to walk the halls today and meet like the inside salesperson in the plumbing team who's like, yeah, every instant estimate for water heaters is a sold job. Like, it's really cool to see that come to play. But I'm here because I am physically relocating my office until a consumer goes onto their website, uses Contractor Commerce, and buys a fully installed HVAC system or water heater without a human being being involved. So I drove 51 minutes today. This is my new office. It is my favorite color, gray. Travis and the team are out.
You're going to stay in their office until there's a purchase?
I am not leaving until the first AI system is sold. So I had to talk with my family.
Okay, so last night I was literally having a conversation with Jen. I said, let's build the thing. I need you to solve my sales issue. And I want to sell it like through Instant Quote, which we do use Instant Quote, all the way through point of sale. And so I'm really excited about where you're going to.
Good. Me too. And that's why I bought Brad. So maybe this is a perfect time to hand
Yeah,
you.
let's
Brad
go.
Brad?
introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks for the invite and bringing me into the table. Yeah, my background, sort of a tech and finance background, actually in the wealth management space originally, but spent the last couple years doing early stage investing in a lot of home services companies, and also we were trying to get into the trades ourselves through a more of a permanent holding vehicle, so not a quick flip vehicle like a lot of the buy and flip models. So we got to know a lot of great contractors through that experience, and also got to know Paul and team very well. And so I've kind of lived at the intersection of AI and home services for the last 2 years, which is kind of what led me to this position.
Which in AI years is like 3 decades, just so we're
Exactly.
clear.
3 decades happened last night.
Yeah.
Right.
We have to talk about it in dog years, at least. So
It is
anyway.
moving so fast.
Yeah.
And so being in a position where I could honestly just keep up with weekly changes in AI has kind of put us in a interesting spot. So excited to be here.
Yeah, it's this moment of time where it's moving so fast. If you don't think about it and build it in the same day, tomorrow it's different. You're gonna have to rebuild it.
It's so funny because I've been telling my team, I'm like, okay, so this is changing. I'm like, Steph, we just adopted this other thing. What about consistency? I'm like,
Get over
buckle
it.
up, Buttercup, because this is a slow
Yes, there you go. That's the
And if
only
we
answer.
don't start evolving now, we will fall behind. So from a marketing perspective, like we're changing our whole digital marketing. I'll say it out there. Like we went from WordPress to Webflow, and I'm going on Hydra, and I'm a huge lift. I'm a huge freaking lift for Jennifer to do this. And my team's like, we're just seeing massive results from this other thing. I'm like, but I'm not going to be behind. I'm not going to fall behind in holding on to yesterday's technology, even though it was heavy to do. And so I think that's going to be a really big shift for us business owners, is making sure that we're assertive and continuing to adopt good technology. So Darren, tell us about you.
Darren Dixon.
My name's Darren Dixon. Yep. And that's me. And I am the founder of a company called Fixify and the co-founder of My Happy Home. And glad to be here.
Awesome. And Darren's doing things that are very disruptive to the way that we've done business for so long. And so it's why we love having you in these conversations, Darren. I really appreciate the way that you think about the customer and the tradesperson and the ripple effect of the decisions that we make. And so thank you for being here.
Sure.
All right, you guys.
I think that you talk. Let me just say this. There's some noise in the background. I don't know if anybody else can hear it.
Yes.
All right. Well, it just went away. I just wanted to say this is that, Stephanie, you talk about how progressive you expect yourself to stay when it comes to the use of AI and continuously, being willing to transcend in the way that you use the tools that you are using and become available and are being created by people in this, process to run your business, and what after the customization process becomes very traditional. And what we do is we think about the business model in the same way as you guys think about technology. Does that make sense?
As good as a robot can sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we caught most of it. I always hold my breath because I'm never sure what hard question is going to come from Darren. I just was waiting. I was waiting for what I had to respond to. But
all right. So topic. Let's roll on
this.
this.
Do I sound like a robot now?
You're a robot.
Yeah.
We'll call you Optimus. Change your name.
You're a smart robot, though, Darren. We'll call you back in. All right, Jen, go.
All right, you guys. So topic. So here's the issue. I'm going to state the problem, and then the goal is that we have a conversation to get there. Figure it out. So number one issue right now, not number one issue. The issue we are discussing for this particular boardroom discussion is AI has been, conversational AI has been trained on the data that is available on the internet, right? Up to a certain point. And we're specifically talking about pricing transparency. So if you throw a quote, I've got HVAC guys in my house right now. I had a water heater guy here yesterday and I'm testing constantly. If you take the quote that these guys drop off with me or that the water heater guy left with me yesterday, and as a, excuse me, but a silly, dumb consumer who's not a subject matter expert, if I throw it,
consumer.
That too. I love having a translator. Everybody needs a translator. So if you throw that quote into ChatGPT,
Any LLM.
I'm actually going to do it while you're talking.
Yeah, please do. So drop any estimate, any quote that you guys have, drop it into chat. If you're on and you're listening, do the same thing and come back with what it says the quote should be from a pricing standpoint.
And think about the way that your consumers are probably going to prompt. So they're going to say something along the lines of,
too expensive.
Tell me if I should do this, right? Or just got this quote for an HVAC system. What do you think?
Yep. The largest prompt. So because we're tracking the prompts, the largest prompt is this too expensive? Am I being overcharged? Is this price in line? Those are the top 3 queries that are done on AI search engines when a quote is generated. And Steph, what did you find?
Something that's really interesting is how well trained is their particular LLM? And what does it know? Right? Because I'm guessing that Stephanie Gorton's LLM probably knows where she's located, probably knows more about the industry than the most average consumer. So it's going to be interesting to see what she finds. But the way we train these bots, the way we train these LLMs is also very critically important. And we have to assume that the average consumer does not have a trained LLM.
Not for this. It might know their grocery list and their kids' bedtime stories, but sure doesn't know this. Steph, what'd you find?
It sounds premium. This doesn't just it lists all the pros and cons. And here's the real evaluation. Is it fair in Los Angeles in 2024 is when I uploaded this quote. It sounds premium, but this is really an unjustifiable $4,000 to $5,000 markup just for the premium alone. At $21,000, I would expect rebates and some type of like club discount. This is premium variable speed, so still high for the quote you're getting.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the vote of confidence there, chat.
Yeah. So
yeah, and you know what? I'm really pleased to see that and this is probably somebody else. I might want to try this for my personal because it does say that where I'd push back is make sure that it's permitted and it has proper commissioning and that my ducts are in good condition. So they want you to also have your ducts included for that price. So I'm not totally like, this isn't way off. This isn't real super crazy, but I'm glad.
Could be an Energuy add-on too.
Energuy add-on. That's one of the things that isn't considered in a typical consumer's ChatGPT probably, or whatever AI they're using, probably chat, is whether or not it's permitted, and geographical pricing differences, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're in Central Valley, which I'll get into in a little bit, the difference between mid and large size companies in Central, SoCal, NorCal, Bay Area, that kind of distinction. But ChatGPT is not going to do that. In fact, I think earlier when I was just prompting how do customers typically ask, because I'm not in a customer mindset, I'm in the industry, so it's hard for me to see. But they're also taking all this information on a national scale, which is like so off. Like the pricing is so different for where we're at. So
and it's mostly from big box stores.
Well, right. Yeah.
And so the 4,000 to 5,000. That's a big. ChatGPT is telling me it's $4,000 to $5,000 too expensive. 21,000 for a heat pump, a gas to electric conversion. That's crazy.
Right. Like, so the LLMs at this point have been trained on public data up to June of 2024 or July of 2024. That data is only present based on what's showing on e-commerce. So from an e-commerce standpoint, the majority of the manufacturers do not allow MSRP to be posted online, but there are some that do, i.e. Goodman. Goodman allows for, if you go on Amazon, you can see all Goodman's equipment pricing all over the internet. That is trainable data. That's what the LLMs have learned off of. Same thing with Home Depot pricing. So for the contractors who are walking into a home and dropping off a quote and letting the consumer go through their objection handling with ChatGPT or whatever LLM, that's the only data that it has. So we've spent a year solving the issue of making sure that contractors are answering their leads. Like there's solutions for that. That's happening, right? We've solved all of these problems of we're getting them found, we're getting them visible, they're answering their leads. Now we have a new issue, which is dropping off this quote because an industry as a whole has not had pricing transparency. And until now, even the technology that is available to have pricing transparency. So just put this out there for
the need, because you just trusted the person that came into your home, right? But now that we're seeing people get several quotes and they're looking online and trying to justify that pricing. So Brianna, have you experienced this at all?
Well, hang on one second. Let me finish one thing. So the technology, this is for everybody that's listening. The technology that has been available to date, and I know that Contractor Commerce is solving this, has been embed code, JavaScript, which neither are crawlable by AI or AI bots or Google bots, right? So you're going to have people that are watching saying, that's not true. I have pricing on my website. That doesn't mean that that data is set on your website in a format that is crawlable by Google. So I just want to set that distinction because that's going to be an important part of that. All right, back to you.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in. Just a couple things, like to the nuance of like the LLMs and the training. So like one of the things that I find interesting about AI is, right, there is auto in ChatGPT, and there's sort of these instant models, and there's these reasoning models. And so I'm sure you all know this, but for people watching, the reasoning models kind of open up this new layer, right? Because they can go out and hit web pages and bring in, up-to-date information. And that is all around like bringing AI models, these AI models are like the intelligence, right? And it's bringing in better context and better intelligence so it can tell you a right thing. But as we know, like all the information isn't really available out there on publicly available data sets. So when we look at like the future, at least in my mind, I see a future where ChatGPT and Claude and other agents are kind of going to trusted data sources. And whether it's a tool or an MCP, if you've heard those terms thrown around, or an app on the App Store, I think it's going to be calling programmatically to certain services to get information about pricing or rebates, Stephanie, to your point. It's going to be looking for trusted data sources out there rather than scraping the entire internet every time somebody asks a question, because as you all know, like we're building data centers everywhere and it's only getting more expensive, more people hop on this. I'll pause there, but that's kind of one distinction that we make and we see is like, how can we supply the best context for the agents out there and for homeowners? Like, how can we bring that experience?
Do you think that it's a responsibility of companies like yours or companies like ServiceTitan or, other CRMs to actually distill this information and present it somewhere for these bots? And then how do we give them credibility in that space, to help raise the industry?
I think it's a two-way street. You have the technology providers and the contractors have to agree, right? We've got to agree, because if the technology providers are providing if we spend the money, which that's what it is, if we spend the money on resources and tech stack to be able to build data extraction centers, to be able to display contextual information to the LLMs based on pricing models, whether it's margins, markups, the percent of what your parts and equipment should be as a comparison to the total ticket. Those are the extraction models we're having. But from a contractor side, if you post right now on social media, should contractors publicly display their prices online? What's the answer? Where are they? I think we have to meet in the middle and figure out where's the middle ground, because it's going to be evolving.
I definitely think it's evolving. So, but you know what the play on that is generally get into the home and then figure out the real price, right? Like go ahead and post an instant quote and then go in and do a measure and make sure that it's actually correct and that you're even in the right ballpark. I don't like the bait and switch. I would love for us to be able to figure out how to win every time and make this experience as frictionless as possible. But before we jump back to tech, like, Brianna, what are you seeing in your company, and is AI an issue for you right now?
I wouldn't say that we've seen a big issue from AI as far as pricing goes. We've built majority of our customer base based on our relationship, who we are, what we do, the quality of work that we have, that we provide. People know us in our community now. That's the main reason they're calling us. We're not getting a bunch of random calls from Google or LSA that we have to build that relationship once we step foot in the door. So that makes a big difference on pricing. The issue, so to say, that I would see is I would say we have probably about 30% of our customers that call in that are new customers that they're telling you what's wrong with it. Like, they're like, hey, I need you to come out because I have a bad contactor. Like, hey, I'm calling because I need you to come replace my capacitor. I know it's the capacitor, so how much is it going to be? Whereas, like, I've been in this industry 10 years. Over the last 10 years, typically they call, they're like, look, the AC is not cooling. It turned off. I don't know what's going on. They don't even have a single assumption unless they're the handyman guy that just usually tries to fix everything at home anyways. Whereas it's very consistent of they know what the problem is.
Or they believe they know. They're diagnosing from
right.
home.
Right. So part of our process is, as the technicians diagnosing the system, they're bringing the homeowner along with them, whether it's physically or with pictures, and showing them proof of readings, because we're using AI to our advantage with that, because a lot of the other companies are being made out to be liars, because they're taking pictures of these things and sending them to chat and saying, hey, is this bad? We're providing them the data for them to put it to chat and say, oh, yeah, this capacitor is bad. Yeah, this motor is bad. So we're using it to our advantage in that form. But the negativity for us is more so everybody thinks they know what exactly is wrong with their unit.
Well, but what's critical is that people will do that, and then they're like, hey, this is a $4 part.
Yes.
Right?
So and for me, that's been such a normal, like, especially capacitors, like, ever since I think my first day in this industry. You mean to tell me, like, even back in the day when it was $80 for a capacitor, you're going to charge me $80 and this part's $5? Like, that's been always the number one pricing complaint from customers since way back. So to me, that doesn't bother me at all. It costs money to do business. If it was that easy, you would just be able to do it yourself. Like, we're here to provide you the quality service. We're not providing you with a Home Depot capacitor. For one, and then we're doing it the right way. You can electrocute yourself. We're licensed, we're insured. We just go over our whole spiel with that.
Sure, but don't you think it would be such a benefit for contractors if the LLMs were able to discuss some of that value prop?
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's going to take less time out of you explaining yourself.
So that's why. So in Stephanie Allen's situation, we track the prompts, questions, and queries that are taking place on AI. And the goal would be to allow our AI to generate content based on the consumer's prompt, question, queries, and be able to start having that conversation earlier, which is going to get you in the door faster with the right information.
A lot of blogs around that, but part of my disconnect is getting the information that we're creating so fast from the blogs also to the technicians, right? And so there's a lot of parts to actually operating this game.
Yeah, 100%. Paul, I see you thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute.
Host your mic, Paul.
It's going to be so good. Once we can hear him.
Really good.
Better?
Yeah,
there you go.
Perfect. I had this big fancy mic here, and it was literally catching the sound for miles away. So I had to reconfigure. Stephanie, that's exactly why, like, I'm in this office today, is because there are so many things that you don't take into consideration because it's moving so fast, that, like, the frontline people who go into the home and engage with the consumer, like, that they need to know, like, the rate of learning is so much faster and the rate of teaching is generally really slow. Like, how often can you train your people? Brad, I'm curious, in that last kind of discussion around pricing, like, any thoughts as you've got your hands, building what we think is a solution to a lot of this? Not to make this a commercial about us by any means, but curious what you're hearing.
How are you addressing it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, like, and this is actually validating for me to hear a lot of the discussion around this, because this is exactly what we're actually building right now, and we hope to release here in a month or two. We're kind of dubbing it like the next evolution of our platform is definitely a conversational commerce experience. We're going to help the homeowner communicate the nuance to the contractor, and we're going to help them reason through it. And I think the power of this, right, is like ChatGPT can do that at some level, but it misses the unique context and a lot of the nuance of the space. And that is what we are hoping to infuse into a ChatGPT-like experience on a contractor's website, so you can control the narrative around pricing and reasoning and help them make the best decision for their experience, all the while keeping it like a great experience for the homeowner. I try to channel that in everything that we do.
I'm so excited to hear that, because I know I managed contractor commerce like 2 years ago. Like, I wanted to do all of these things, and it just wasn't quite there yet. But it sounds like you're creating that product to go along the journey.
We are. And to your point earlier, Stephanie, you asked about like, is it each software company's responsibility to sort of provide the context to these LLMs? I can't speak on behalf of others, but I would say like we view how we're positioned in the industry very uniquely at like the confluence of AI and e-commerce, and sitting across a lot of contractors where we could be a trusted pricing source to LLMs. And be in a pretty standardized way. Again, back to like ChatGPT doesn't want to have 1,000 different ways to find out information. They want a few, and you can see that in the app partnerships that they've had. We love where we're positioned, and we're building on an architecture that could allow us to facilitate that in the future.
This goes to my thesis of how important it is that we're all building together, right? Because you building this thing is only as good as people knowing about it. And Jennifer is brilliant at helping you get found and helping you be the expert voice for these LLMs, right? But we need each other. And that's
Absolutely.
like this next stage is about trust and working together to build for the future. In a way that I don't think we've ever seen before.
I think that one of the things, Brad, that you're touching on, and you're going to see this as we evolve, is you're going to see more and more technology become less flat and Excel spreadsheet-ish. You're going to see a vector database. You're going to see a RAG and a CAG, which is a retrieval augmentation system, and you're going to see a cached augmentation system. And these systems are going to allow for a trained AI model with unlimited context windows. When you're on ChatGPT and you're just browsing, there's a little window which you can't see, but there's a little circle that's a context memory window, and it only goes so far. And if you continue to prompt and ask questions over that, it will delete everything that you were having a conversation with. And that's what they refer to as hallucinations. It starts acting stupid. It's not stupid. It just forgot what you were talking about earlier because you ran out of room. So what you're going to start to see, if you could imagine in this instance, what these guys are building, and this is important because any tech platform that you are doing business with or considering doing business with, these are important questions to start asking. Like the technology we have today, all the way up to a website, is going to change drastically. If you think about a AI bot representing a consumer, which that will happen. You're going to have the majority of consumers are not going to be going out and doing their own homework and their own search. They're just simply going to use their AI assistant, and they're going to sick that little puppy out to go do their homework for them. So now you have an AI that's doing the homework, an AI that's making decisions, and it's got to be able to communicate with an other intelligent being, and probably in a different language, i.e. Gibberlink, which is a completely AI to AI communications. It's not even in English or in our normal language. It's a different language. But why would an AI bot need to crawl a website and clickety-click around on different buttons, or crawl an ordering system and go through a sequential 15-step process that's expensive, when in reality, we just need an AI to AI conversation. So what every company has got to be doing is building that data lake. That data lake, there's nothing more important than that, whether it's, you don't It's no longer your website. It's no longer a pricing engine with a price book. It is a massive data center. That's what we all have to build.
And I believe it's responsible to share. It's anonymized, right? I mean, like, shouldn't we have that information out there? I think that there's so many companies that are so worried about sharing that data.
Well,
and in the meantime,
fear's going to kick your ass. Excuse my French, but this is where fear's not a good position to be in right now, because 100% of nothing's nothing. So if you want to hide your information and be invisible and not share, you will also not be available, and you will be stuck with this kind of DIY friends and family business.
So as we are extrapolating this a little bit more, Stephanie, can you tell us some of the data findings that you have going from pricing? It sounds like across California and the differentials there, right? Because if someone were to say, I'm in California, is this expensive? The LLMs are probably not saying, well, what county?
They're probably not going to tell them they're in California. They're probably not going to tell them they're in California. I mean, I guess it will know inherently, but they're probably not going to say I'm in the zip code. I did want to go back to just something that was said a little while ago that I thought was really, really important, and it's not really any advice, but from my 30,000 foot view into some of the largest, most successful companies and what they're doing right now. Jen, what you said about being found, I'm curious as to what we are seeing as the currency to be found. Like, I think that is probably the most important part. And how do I get found in this ocean of contractors? And what is it that the consumer is looking for? I think that what the role that you're playing right now in bringing all of the value or whatever currency is important in this industry right now, whether it's promptness, Google reviews, the words that are used in some of those reviews. I'm not sure what it is, but that's so important. But the bigger companies, the ones that have outlasted everything, they've outlasted every single economy shift. Brad, you said, how often are you training? Or I think maybe it was Paul. Every day, all day training. You have to, but it's a job that a person has to do, is be in that home and make a connection with that person. And I don't think we're getting rid of that anytime soon. And then I also want to say they're using AI, like, to speak to Brianna's point, is that she said, I'm using it to my benefit, and I'm seeing them use it to their benefit, as well as it's not really taking over all of the communications. It's almost like getting overflow after hours. You are the fastest reachable contractor at that time that can get to that lead fast enough. You're getting it. And then couple that with an intelligent tech training program, bringing emotional intelligence and options and education sales to your team, is also what's helping these companies to dominate the entire country in their numbers of revenue. So
I would add, they were first. Look at them. Look at when they started investing in traditional search. They were first, right? And it's the only thing. No large company is going to slow down for a small company to catch up. So you're always running against tailwinds, right?
Yep.
They were first. I mean, that's a big deal. And you're going to see that happen again. This is the first little window of time. Right now, we're in this little pocket where most marketing agencies are really far behind, which is causing their customers to be very far behind. You were asking, what does it take? This is important, Paul, for your company too, right? You guys could spend massive amounts of money on this entire thing, but if the technology infrastructure that you place your amazing application on is bloated, expensive, behind, you're literally dropping it on a Pinto, which is not going to help your system provide the value that you want. So I think that in the trades industry, what I'm seeing is there's a lot of people that are providing advice because they're ChatGPTing things like, what are the signals that allow you to get found on AI? And they're writing those signals down and even coming up with websites and applications that say, I have the solution. Here's the signals. These are not experts. These are prompters getting really bad information to the industry. Think about it this way.
Like wildfire.
Oh, it's so bad right now. It's hurting my soul. But
it's my favorite thing to send screenshots to Jen, and I'm like, smart or dumb?
They had 8 views. They don't have any traffic, and their entire application is completely hackable. In fact, we just logged in and downloaded it. Sorry. That's normally the answer.
All the other things. Like the vulnerability that's out there is so huge.
Yes.
Totally.
Here,
But to speak,
think about it this way, okay? Every AI bot, Paul, you brought this up. You said there is a cost. Brad, you said we're building data centers. Start there. Energy costs, data center costs. Google and AI allow a budget that is considered a crawl budget to be applied to any application, i.e. a website. That crawl budget says if you exceed that budget, you leave the website alone and you move on. So you know when you're on ChatGPT and you see those little things that say sources at the top, what that's doing is that's that crawl budget being applied. And I'm going to try and simplify this. So Brad, I know there's another layer to this, but otherwise my translator is going to cut me off. So think about it this way. That crawl budget on a WordPress website, take one page, go to the AC repair in blank page.
Oh, you're going to have to mute. Sorry.
Right click and view source. Okay. Just go to any page on a WordPress website, right click and view source. This is your first problem to solve. There are typically, especially for all the rookie WordPress website builders that are using Elementor, there are 1,500 lines of code that AI bot has to crawl to try and find your 1,000 words of text, your heading title, your subtitle, your heading 1, heading 2, and your body content. Okay. You run out of crawl budget before it even gets to your content. So if you level up from WordPress to Webflow, we're talking about tech infrastructure first before we talk about all the brand signals and your value propositions and are you family friendly, is your pricing available and all that stuff, right? All of that is later. It's important. However, we're missing the big piece, which if you move from a tech stack that is WordPress, very bloated in code, and you move to Webflow, which is lighter in code, it's 50% lighter in code. There's still 600 lines of code on a single page that it has to crawl to get to your pricing data that's living on the site. That's what we're trying to solve for, is how do we truncate that? So that's what we just did with Hydra. Because Ryan, I want, by the time you guys are done, I want to be able to take what you guys have built and put it on a page, on a website that has the least volume of code, highest volume of content, loads in milliseconds, so that an AI bot can actually get to the pricing data. Once we're there, that's solving that problem first. Now, Steph, the question you asked about what are the factors, the trust signals that Google's looking for, and what are AI bots looking for? It's looking for the best answer for its customer. So then it matters, is the agency actually capable of tracking what are the prompts, questions, and queries on AI search engines, and what are the terms on Google, which we've always been able to do that, because now your content has to address the consumer's questions. So we're not guessing. You remember when you were looking, we're like, well, I don't know what the consumer would prompt. That was the first thing we had to solve for, was actually track what consumers are querying so we could solve for that.
Well,
I appreciate how much it slows down to try to deliver this hard information.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's just what matters to the customer. It's still the same problem. We're just using different tools to find it at this point, right?
No,
but the same problem.
But Steph, you asked, like, what's the currency?
Yes.
And I think it's really important for companies like Brianna and mine to understand this is not a single battle, right? We are waging war in a lot of different places in order to win. And one is the tech stack. One is how we're showing up online. But we still have to do our part. I talk to a lot of people who are disillusioned by their marketing company because they're not getting the results that they're looking for. I'm like, well, what are you doing? How are your reviews? How are you showing up? Right? And so this time right now, the people that are going to succeed have the best partners, and they work together in concert to make sure that the goal is being hit. And they're talking regularly, and they're adjusting strategy regularly, and they're trying stuff out. Right? And just because it didn't work for me in September doesn't mean it's not going to work for me this month. I got to try it again. It's disruptive. It's hard.
Yes, that's what we're seeing here too. Like there's been at least 4 or 5 companies in a 25-mile radius of our location that I've put down. And I try to keep in contact with as much of the other owners as possible. And they're just like, man, this is just the worst year I've ever seen. Like the market's just so bad and this, that, and the next. The people that are not being innovative and making sure they're in multiple buckets and doing the things that other people don't want to do are the ones that aren't make it. Like things are changing, things are hard. Like we're adjusting to AI. We're getting used to customers being able to self-diagnose their unit and price shop online. That's never been a thing before. So you have to do the things that are uncomfortable and you have to change. Like you said, don't get used to it. Like just about every weekend, we're out at a community market. It costs $40 and probably 6 to 8 hours of my day. Do you think that I just love to spend every single weekend out there more than anything? I enjoy it, but sometimes I want to just not do that every single weekend, but it's what's necessary. The hard things are necessary.
And then when you're talking to your marketing team, they tell you how to leverage that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just going to the community market isn't enough. Mm-hmm. How are we showing up online in order to leverage that activity that we are doing?
Oh, right. How do you turn a physical action into a digital signal?
100%. Yep. I have a 4-page process on going to marketing, to going to these events. And everybody's like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is too much. I'm like, but it works. Like it works. No one else is working and we're doing an install every day. It works.
And I think that's my question is the currency stuff, exactly what you're talking about. Like what you have to marry the two. The people have to embrace AI and use it as a tool, just like Brianna was saying, and use it to their advantage instead of seeing it as adversarial. But what gets the quality of your reviews on Google? It's your people and it's your process. Still guided by Jen's very radically. So Jen's going to tell you how it is on the how do you get found part. Why are you not showing up? And then it's still so involved with your people, your training, your culture. Like that hasn't gone anywhere. If so, like AI makes it even more important to have people, culture, and intelligence.
So much more. And
there's one other piece you just brought up, Google reviews. I think the industry needs to realize that Google is a single platform now, and that's where 100% of the energy is being put into, while your consumer base is moving to a different reviews platform that is different technology, and they're not moving to one. Every AI platform, their map and reviews system, they are not using Google reviews.
So who do we use now?
Those are all different applications. So that's what we're trying to solve for with AI Local, is giving the ability for that single link to be able to distribute reviews to not just Google, because that's not the only place that matters anymore. We're having to market, it used to be that a marketing company solely focused on Google, as did you, but that's not the case anymore. There's 30 different platforms that are growing in consumer adoption like wildfire, and they all use different parameters.
And so is the advice to focus on one for a short time to build enough to be considered critical mass? And like, so I'm involved in the builders market. I'm involved in Angie. I'm involved in Thumbtack. I have Facebook reviews. I have Yelp, obviously, and Google. Like, is that something that our internal team should say, okay, this week or for the next 2 weeks, we're going to point all reviews to this place. Let's build. Is that strategy that we should be thinking about? Is it about diversification?
This is the technology company's problem before it's yours. I think right now there is not a duplicate content penalty on ChatGPT for something that's reviews being disseminated to more than one location. That's what we're trying to solve for, is how do we automatically sync our Google reviews with another technology platform? Because you guys are going to go nuts trying to do this on every single application. I don't think that's reality right now. I think you have to focus on Google reviews, and the tech platforms have to figure out how to be able to disseminate the information.
Let me ask you about this. So many people in our, oh, sorry, Brad. You want to stay on point? I'm going to go.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, like, I just think we're in a super interesting time where it's like a lot of these aggregation businesses that were built for the old era of how we used to search through things. So it could be Angie's List, could be Expedia, like all those things that evolved then fundamentally changed with ChatGPT in the driver's seat. And so I think what's interesting to me is like these platforms are scrambling to figure out how they stay relevant in this new world, which I think is, That's
They're
great.
getting their butt handed to them.
They may
They've
figure it
lost-
out.
Yeah, they are.
But if they don't,
Angie is getting their ass handed to them right now.
and if they don't, I mean, it just creates a lot of opportunity, I think, for new entrants and people who are better positioned to deliver the context people are searching for. It's like when you talked about how do you get sort of brought into ChatGPT? One of the interesting things I find is that right now, if you do, has anyone used the shopping experience in ChatGPT? It's kind of in a buried modal. If you just for fun were to go in there and try to buy an HVAC unit, for instance, what is interesting to me is like the results that it will pull in is anyone with pricing on their website. So I already know that ChatGPT is prioritizing those with pricing on their website. And you saw the same with like Google, allowing some price filtering results to come through. I think those are clear external signals to us of like, this is going to be important. Certainly you still have the opportunity to choose whether you do pricing online or not, but for being found and visibility,
you're not going to have
clear
choice for very
signals.
long, Fred. Like you are being very PC there, but you are not going to have choice. Otherwise you're going to be the chuck in a truck that I know somebody next door, please help, right? It's not going to end up being a much bigger company. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think that we're going to lose some of our SMBs, like our middle business size, and we're going to have big players and we're going to have trucks. And so I am an advocate for that middle ground, and I'm trying to figure out how do we save that space. And I believe it's, working together. A lot of
I have perspective on that. And I think this is, you have the, not to generalize, but you have the consolidation that's happened over the last couple of years. You've got these big companies and they're becoming bigger, and that's not new. That happens in waves. But that cohort of contractors is too big to move fast. They just are. I know these people. And it's the middle market, Stephanie, that you're describing that has the opportunity to act and act fast. Like the walls that I'm sitting, like hearing how decisions are made here at a shop with 60 people, it's unbelievable how much of a gap they can gain on the market just by
it is for those of us that embrace it now and embrace it quickly.
Which that's the middle gap. Because I mean, I've worked in PE for 7-8 years, and I can 100% state that if they don't allow local control, like of the local general manager, which very, very, very few do, they're months and months and months behind because they're moving multi-millions and multi-locations. They don't even have the power to send those corporate teams down quick enough to change. By the time they implement that change, there's something new. They can't keep up. So instead of outbidding them on Google, we become more innovative with AI and all of the upcoming changes going on. And then that's how we take over. That's how we top notch and we go above them. Because they already have. I was
going to say my thesis is totally wrong. You think that the mid-sized business is getting stronger?
I think they are positioned. They have an opportunity to.
I would agree.
Right now,
stay? You think we're going to stay, or do you think that a couple of regional mid-size is going to become big?
I think a couple of regional mid-size, you can see them start to rise to the top. Like the cream is on the top, right? And with all of what you just said, the evolution and the knowledge and moving fast, adapting, and still investing in the culture. And at the same time that they're investing in the technology changes, that's going to give them a leg up. And you can see it. I can see it happening every day.
Yeah, talk about the AI barbell all the time, where I have AI on one side and I have personal development, human development on the other side. And I feel like it has to be equally weighted. So the more I invest in AI, the more I need to invest in my personal development, my soft skills, my team. And then I keep doing reps and I keep getting stronger. And so I can put more weight into both places, and go faster.
Right now, out of all of so we've tracked over 1 million. This is just in the last 30 days, 1 million queries that are related to our clients' primary service lines and primary locations. Out of the 1 million queries, and this is only on 4 AI platforms, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, and Gemini. Out of the 1 million queries, there is currently 60% of the queries that show no brands mentioned. Just let that sink in for a minute. In the trade space,
just plug in Airworks. All right?
That means that this industry still has massive opportunity because they are not optimizing for AI search. When have we been in a position where you have the ability to compete on a consumer's interest with zero competition. That gap will close fast. This is like 2008 on Google. In 2008, we asked the same question, how many of you are focused on SEO? And it was less than 3% of any audience. But those that started then, those are the juggernauts. Stephanie, Gorton, you were talking about now, right? That's a big deal.
Right.
The other thing I think that's critical is that the way we train our humans has to be different. So Paul and Brad are working on building a conversational AI completely trained with a vector database that can have a conversation. Every single human in our company has got to become wildly independently curious and less reliant on SOPs and managers holding them accountable. I think that culturally we have to change that from you need an SOP and you need this systemic process to being that this information is available. It's at the tips of your fingers. I'm going to need you to do your homework and go find it. And I mean that in the nicest way. I think that people by nature who want to get to the next level are going to have to be independently curious and start utilizing the tools and not so reliant on the management structure and management motivation for them to be successful. And the more that any company creates that culture, the faster you will grow. This can't be this gap of I've got to hold you accountable and I have to train you up and I got to motivate you to do X, Y, and Z or get into X, Y, and Z. Like we're going to have to create thinkers. It's going to be a thinking game.
Solvers.
Yes, you're going to have to. These tools are going to be available. They're available right now, whether it's pricing or e-commerce or culture or, I mean, that's like, we've got it. The next time somebody asks
It's not
you
about subject matter experts anymore.
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Have you looked it up? What did you find? What was your research like? I think we have to act different as leaders and managers and start passing that down and getting our organization to start thinking and doing their own homework and their own research more. I think there's some cultural changes.
If you even look at public education though, like it was designed to create a workforce. It was not designed to create thinkers. Like I'm disengaged with that infrastructure so much. And, I have young kids in it and I don't even know what to do.
Boardroom conversation. That's a joke.
I was going to say, man,
education is a joke.
Yeah.
We just took a turn with creating thinkers and culture. And I know that we're supposed to be, discussing transparent pricing and AI, but it's not separate though. I think as much as people want to separate the two subjects, it's not. I don't have any hard data on who has thinkers and who doesn't. All I know is that when I walk into companies that I see performing, and I get to see the end result. Like I don't see the front and what they're going to do and what their goals are. I get to see their actual revenue at the end. So their pricing is high, their revenue is high, and their culture is strong. And I know it when I walk in because every one of and I posted about this before, all their team, they act like owners. They're thinking like that. They're inputting, they give feedback, they're talking, they're making decisions really fast. So just quickly on the pricing thing, I did take a little bit to analyze about 17,000 jobs that we have. And for a little bit of context, every time a contractor requests a permit on any job. And so you also have to remember, I'm only talking about permitted work and only 13% of contractors actually permit their work. And so we're only talking about this space. So I have no pricing data. I can only guess on what people are charging when they don't permit jobs or they don't pay for ECC testing or do anything like that. So
the top echelon of contractors anyway, because you surprised me with the stat. How many % of contractors are permitting their jobs?
Yeah, 13%. 13%. And that's an improvement from 9, probably like almost 10 years ago.
I think isn't that the same as like recycling refrigerant?
How many people are? I don't know what that stat is.
I feel like I was sitting in a board conversation at a distributor and it was the same kind of thing. It was like they went from 1% to 3%, literally on a resource that's running out of, that's so literally it.
Environment. Okay. Steph, tell us about your data.
So anyway, so we're only dealing with the top basically 10% of contractors anyway. But what we came out with was not what ChatGPT is spitting out. And that's why I wanted to be here today, is because I have these contracts that are submitted in our system. So back-end export just gives me a really good idea. For all of one state, so we'll do California, a full system change out. We're not talking about a gas to electric conversion. We're just talking about change out. Like for like, on a median is $17,000, and this is through all the areas in California. When we talk about a gas to electric conversion, we're talking about a median of $20,800. And I hope this also gives contractors confidence to price their work appropriately, permit it correctly. Yeah, and raise it for the benefit of all contractors and not to operate out of fear when pricing. For an install with a mini split, assuming that there's no prior, like this might be coastal, no prior heating and air, it's $11,000 as a median price. And then I did include some plumbing, so because the trades are always mixed. So just water heater change out or heat pump water heater is median of $7,415. And I wanted to break down the different regions because that's really important. So the Bay Area is obviously similar to like Orange County pricing. We have major metropolitan areas in California, and I would assume that when you hear Bay Area or Southern California, you're kind of lumping that into the same demographic. And a full system furnace change out for Southern California is actually $22,000. And in the Bay Area, a gas to electric heat pump conversion is $21,800 median. And that is taking into an account that I would say all of my contractors in the Bay Area are taking advantage of rebates. That's the other pricing distinction that I would say, is that contractors who are intelligent enough to train their teams on rebates and complex homeowner education, their prices are just much higher than the rest.
And what about, do you have data on finance too, Stephanie? Do you know how many of these jobs are financed versus cash?
I don't. I probably could look at the contracts, but I didn't export that. What I would say here is that I also took a little bit more time to group them into contractor size. So I'll qualify that size for you guys. For me, it was smaller contractors that had an annual revenue of between $4 and $9 million. I consider a small contractor. A mid-sized contractor for us would be between $10 and $40 million annually, and the large is $40 million annual revenue plus. So I wanted to just break down the pricing for them, and I do have all of this in its raw form. For the smaller contractors in SoCal, what we're coming up with, all scopes combined, is an average ticket price of $16,000. And that is full system change out around $15,000, conversions $16,900, mini splits $8,600. Plumbing and water actually was higher, it was $11,000 on average. Group 2, all my mid-size, Central California, just to give a good picture, full system change out from small it goes up $2,000 by average just for a full system change out, just by the size of the company. The gas to electric conversion went up significantly from $16,900 for small contractors to $20,396 for a gas to electric conversion for a mid-size company. Now, when we go into the bigger companies, we take our group median from small, 15, mid-size is 17,000, and mid-size in just Northern California is around 16,800, 20,000 for mid-size Sacramento. So remember, we're talking about anywhere from $10 to $40 million of annual revenue, with a mini split coming in at $20,000 for mid-size. And when we get into the large companies, I'm going to break it up for Northern California and Southern California, two totally different markets. The NorCal, for a large company, $40 million plus in revenue, the full system change out then goes up from $16,800 for midsize to $22,000. Sorry, to $22,000 for a full system change out for a large HVAC contractor in Northern California. Then we go gas to electric heat pump conversions. And mind you, this scope of work may include duct change outs and all that stuff. I didn't go into separating all those nuances, but $35,000.
It just makes me so mad, Steph. Like, I'm like so many feelings going on, because they also have better buying power and economies of scale, and and like the impact that you're able to make and you're producing higher revenue per unit. It's just like, it's incredible.
Yeah. For Southern California, full ductwork change out in our size homes, it's usually about 1,800, 2,100 square feet, somewhere around there. Full duct change out, gas to electric conversion, and a panel upgrade with rebates totaling it to about $5,000. You're talking about a ticket price of $41,696.
So what?
What does ChatGPT tell us we should be paying?
Oh,
Well, if you remember a little while ago, my very biased, probably ChatGPT, I didn't sign in with my personal, was saying somewhere around 26,000's premium.
Right. And
But I didn't ask for duct work or anything like that. So duct work, I didn't have my panel replaced. That price is with a panel replacement as well.
Yeah. So it's about half.
So
Yeah.
what? Yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. That's why bids aren't closing. Contractors are literally allowing ChatGPT to drive consumers directly to the chuck in a truck. That's what's happening right now. So the solution, right? What if we had the best tech platform, and what if we took data that Stephanie has and we turned it into educational content and disseminated it at masses across many, many platforms, many websites. I call them platforms, but many websites. And you integrate Paul and Brad's actual pricing engine. So what would happen is every company that had data, even if it was still in its current shell, even if it was an iframe, in its current environment today without your new tech, you would have the blog content getting cited. Those companies would start to show up. And when the consumer gets there, we wouldn't disappoint them because we have the e-commerce platform on there. But it would require masses, and it would require that same data, Steph, that you've got regionally across the entire nation for any of those contractors that wanted to play ball. Is that an option to make it blog content, not necessarily pricing content, and to disseminate it as educational information at scale? So those sites are getting picked up, but then to solve the problem with your actual price book in an e-commerce platform.
But where is it?
How do we fix it?
Who distributes it and how often? Like, do you want to
We'd
have
have to make it part of a cadence where this is in the back office of Hydra. There is a pricing intelligence engine that would allow us to import data that Stephanie has regionally, which wouldn't be your price book, but it would be regional insights and information, no different than a tech company doing a comparison of multiple tech platforms on their website. It doesn't mean they sell all those things, but you're trying to build topical authority. And we would have to automate and say that a minimum of once a week out of 5 or 10 articles that we're publishing, there is a pricing education that's more generic in a sense.
Is that scary?
And it covers small, mid, and large, so that it almost confuses the engine. Like, it's pricing information that's available. It doesn't tie you to a specific actual price, but it does allow you to get found and picked up.
Well, that's what I was wondering is it scary for the contractor because it's almost double what the LLM thinks it should be? And so would it automatically throw out my company as a viable result because it thinks that I'm overpriced? Like, should that information
show up as a result because you have better content? You're the only one with pricing in your market. You're going to show up.
I'm going to show up because you're making sure I show up. But
there's two things you're trying to solve for. One is, do you get cited? Is your brand mentioned on the initial query during the discovery phase? The second one is when the consumer, what you're trying to solve for is when the consumer has a quote in their hands and does go back to ChatGPT to diagnose, should they be moving forward with you? Can we start training the LLMs in advance on a larger pricing model that's not e-commerce pricing sitting on Amazon?
But can contractors do this? Or should it be responsibility of our vendor partners to put this information out there? Like, should it be Contractor Commerce and Energuy and the builder market and Ferguson? And, like, should it be our partners putting that information out there? And should we be reserved to continuing to
your site won't come up? If it doesn't, your site won't come up. You won't be the source. What you'll be sending it to a dealer locator. The builder market is a dealer locator. That's great, but it's still a dealer locator like Angie. Ferguson has a dealer locator. All of these other contractor commerce, if they do that, they're going to land on contractor commerce. And are you going to put a dealer locator on your site with only your clients? The contractor, if they want to show up for the initial query during the discovery process, this content has to live on their website.
So we have to do both.
You have to do both. I that's my thought. Paul, are you
think
thinking, Brian?
Yeah, Jen, let me hop in. Like, it's like we mentioned it before, like things are so dynamic here, right? Like if you asked me a year ago, does everybody need stuff on their website? Absolutely, like to get found. And I would say yes. And still today, right? Like there's no reason not to do it, right? Putting markdown on your site, having all the stuff, it will only help. Will that be how it works in the future? I'm not so sure. Just based on kind of the infrastructure that's being laid today with ChatGPT and others creating these app stores, I think they are looking to not go out and find all the information every single time from each website. As you mentioned, there's crawl capacity, there's real compute infrastructure cost here. I think they are looking for true sources of information that they can programmatically hit. And how we've thought about this, at least from our infrastructure, you've probably heard of like AI agent tools. We're kind of viewing our infrastructure as like, we could define the set of attributes that we need an agent to pass us in order for us to pass them back good information, useful information about pricing or units or SKUs. And I think that is more likely how the world works. I think ChatGPT is figuring out who are the trusted sources right now. And I think eventually they'll just start defaulting that into the experience. And so like Stephanie, to your point, should contractors be doing all of this? I don't believe so. I think there is going to be a provider, and I think we're, if we do it successfully, I think we're very well positioned to have a voice and a say in that.
You're saying you're going to control the distribution of who gets found? What happens if they're asking additional queries?
We won't control it because we're not the agent, right? ChatGPT is the reasoning. What we will be, if we go down this path, is a trusted tool that it can use to go get relevant information and bring it back into the conversation.
And
so that could be pricing information.
Like ChatGPT is going to have to pull your information and say, hey, it matches with what this contractor is actually pricing. And so we're going to present that.
Where is it getting it from now? Like how did my consumer?
It's retail.
If you use thinking models, it's going out in web searching as the primary tool it's using. What we're saying is there's a future where it has specific tools for specific things. So for reviews, it might go to one site. For pricing, it might go to another. We want to be a trusted tool wherever consumers are looking for contractors. And we don't have this functionality today, but it's very much in roadmap and how we're thinking about the future is if we can help provide the right context in these conversations, which is back to your point, Jen, like how do we get the right stuff out there so that the consumer, as they're having these conversations, can reason through the appropriate context and like make an informed decision. If we help do that, I think we help everybody win.
I think that helps at the end of the supply chain when they're trying to validate and diagnose the quote and make a decision. I think on the front of the supply chain, you're still looking at EEAT requirements. You're still looking at expertise, authority, localness, landmarks relative to the consumer, the most unique content there possibly is. And the combination between the two, if you can tie them together, are critical.
Well, those are different questions though, right? Find me an HVAC tech to fix this. The LLM should go somewhere different than, is this too expensive?
The power would be the combination of them both. That's a good data source.
To your point, Jen, I think there's like two queries, or at least like two archetypes, right? It's like, what's pricing like? Like, is this the right unit for me? That's maybe one path. The other is, who do I trust locally to provide this service, which is more reputational. And the marrying of those is, like you said, probably the best answer.
That's interesting.
And this is where I will continue to say, it is critical to build your table of experts, right? Because as a contractor, I can't do all of this lift by myself.
You don't have to do any of it other than agree to play ball and train your team
and deal with ripple effect and be in the home.
Yeah.
Climb in the attic.
Yes. Yeah. We all have to show up to the table with more than an appetite. Like your marketing partner, your technology partner, you as a contractor, your permitting team. You're right about the fact that, but this is.
And that's why we got to build together. We have to have more of these conversations where we're figuring out, we're just a small blip in the whole chain, right? Like what's the ripple effect and how does it work? You know, how do they all tie together? The possibilities are crazy right now of all of these companies that have product, and we're distracted as contractors. Like, who do we trust? Where do we invest? Where do we go? How long do we stick with them? You know, when do we make a jump? How do we evaluate that?
That's a whole nother podcast.
And yeah, but it all ties together.
I think right now you guys have to worry about smoke and mirrors. Right now, your average Yahoo who's a big ass dummy can build a web application in 5 hours and pretend like they built something cool, and it can look cool from the outside in. And you should run as fast as you possibly can. And you're going to see more of that in 2026 than you ever have in your entire life. You are going to see apps launch that look and they got claims that say they've saved 10 hours a week. And you're going to see massive, you're going to see new e-commerce systems. You're going to see new conversion systems, new AI marketing agent applications. You're going to see so much of that. First thing to look at, traffic. When did they launch? Most of their claims are total bullshit. Second is you start looking at infrastructure and security, because usually they made these on some WYSIWYG AI app creator that's literally anybody can do it. And you guys are going to have to just say no. Like, not just start, just say no. It's drugs.
There.
I'm sorry.
That's so true. Can I call attention to something in the chat real quick?
Yes, please.
So does anyone on this call know Derek Cole, who's been commenting since the beginning? Or I don't know if he's still here.
Welcome.
Derek is in Laurinburg, North Carolina. And if you Google top 3,000 places to launch an HVAC company, Laurinburg, North Carolina will not show up. It's like south of Fayetteville. It's kind of, no offense, Derek, it's a beautiful place. But Derek, among many things, Derek's just an awesome person. He was the 1 hour franchise of the year last year. So like 500 franchise locations. Like he's a killer. He's awesome. But if you go to his website, he created Derek AI, which is an AI version of himself, where he took every piece of content he has ever created through his podcast, through interviews, through everything, and just dumped it into an agent and built Derek AI within his company. So now, instead of people asking Derek questions that only Derek can answer, Derek AI answers for them. So that's just one application way he uses it. But shout out to Derek. It's a good
thing.
Yeah, major shout out. That's freaking golden. And that's what I meant by being curious and then using AI to solve that problem. We have, I want to say 13 or 14 different AI autonomous agents. And we built very careful subject matter experts. Like this one is only our technical expert. This is our UI UX expert. This is our SEO expert. But what it's done for our organization is it's allowed our team to be curious. They don't have to know everything. They just have to be curious and ask questions. And each of those agents knows every intricacy because they have access to our data lake. They have access to historical data. They can see everything that we've done, and they can see all the synapses firing across all the different things. So anyone in our organization can get access to the right answer in 2 seconds from a different perspective, depending on what their need is. That's a big deal.
It almost changes you're not as strong as your weakest link. You're as strong as your leader, right? Because if your leader provides you all of these tools, your team can produce like your leader.
I'll give you one. This will make you trip, right? So the process of, this is not on pricing, but it might help. The process of reviews. Think about how reviews operate now. In our environment, each of our AI model, we have one specifically that is trained on being able to do instant feedback on every meeting that's taken place. So our team, when they get done with the meeting, They take their Fathom recording, their AI recording, they send it over to the agent and say, what could I have done better? That's it. And they do that every single day. And every day the AI comes back and says, you could have twisted this, or you could have done this, or you could have showed up like this, or whatever it is. It gives them coaching. So that becomes a data lake of performance data. And that performance data is stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. For us at the end of the year, there is no my manager likes me, doesn't like me, personal performance or perception or who likes who or whatever that goes along with the human review. We simply ask the agent to provide a cohort analysis of where did they start and where did they end and what is the performance improvement gap, right? How much did they improve? And that is our end of year review, not done by a single human in our entire company. Like, so much has to change. I mean, this is now you're measuring people based on their willingness to ask for performance feedback. How frequently did they use the application, and their speed in which they were able to evolve and change. And it's completely self-initiated and driven. There's no manager in the equation. Like, that's how much we can change right now. It's really cool.
That's my favorite line of you. It's like, you've got to show up, suit up, and participate. And it's pretty much everywhere. Your team has contract. Like,
I can see in 2 seconds if someone never asked for feedback. Why would you not ask for feedback on your own performance? Why would you not want to improve? That's red flag number one.
Paul, was there something you wanted to talk about Derek calling out specifically?
I don't think so, other than this is not a selfish plug, but I have a podcast. I interviewed him a couple of months ago, and that next week I'll share where he talks about his whole AI agent process, also how, like, more to the more tactical side of life, how he's been battling MS for the last 15 years and he fights it every day. And he's just an awesome, awesome human being and a high performer and just a stud. So yeah, just a cool dude.
I did see his story online on Facebook. I love that.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I freaking love that. That is amazing. You should plug your podcast, by the way.
Change your filter. Starts next week. So change your
There you go.
Thank you.
You can either buy a filter or be a filter, Paul.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's like the most common analogy used in the home.
Filters are gross. Yeah, they can be. Steph, where do you see this going? Do you see the people that were doing well 2 or 3 years ago just exponentially growing, or do you see up and comers happening?
It was a tough year for last year for a lot of shops. What I saw, like, I wouldn't say people were growing like crazy. I wouldn't say out of hundreds of contractors, I wouldn't say that. I would say the ones who stood out in my mind were the ones who stayed steady while everybody else was shrinking between 30 and 38%. And that, I thought, was such a testament to whatever tools that they were using, right? The fact that they could even stay stable year over year, I thought was just really impressive. We did have a couple clients just close their doors. So, there are, and we can argue all day that that's actually probably good for the shops that are going to last. Sometimes it's like a wildfire, right? Like, so the shops who didn't make it, and you're one of those. And it's just, everything that I see is just a mix of this.
I didn't stay flat.
It's your barbell. Sorry?
Yeah. And I've been very transparent about the fact that 2025 was the hardest year we've ever had in business. I didn't stay flat. I lost a lot of market share, or at least revenue, but I feel like I recreated my business and I'm freaking coming for 26. So,
well, you're still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
You're still here. There were shops that took advantage of that as a time to get stronger and to revamp and to rethink and to embrace something new, or they kept doing what they were doing and it didn't work. But the shops who grew is basically just, you already said it, which is the barbell analogy. You just can't do this without smart people, and you can't do it without investing in people. So if anybody's thinking that AI is this panacea that's just going to allow them to be hands off and not have to interact with their team and not have to train their team, and like, oh, AI will just take care of all my customers and I'm going to have leads coming in, it's just like not going to be that. It's going to be that complementary combination of people, teams, smarter people. You want to pay them more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going
to pay smarter people more and get more intelligent.
The freedom to level up.
I'm really advocating for training centers, because I think that we're going to get more smart humans that want to be in the trades that don't actually have the mechanical know-how. And we need to teach that part, right? Because I think the trades are going to continue to flourish. We're not going to have a workforce issue. We're going to have a mechanical aptitude issue. And so we're going to need to train there.
That sounds like another discussion. It's really exciting. I think it's really exciting. I really have this, like the bird's eye view. I don't do it. We work with technicians, but they don't do near what your installers do and how complicated that is. And I think it's exciting sitting back and watching social media do its thing, where we're exposing the day-to-day and the level of wealth that can be built within the industry. And I think that's going to do wonders. And just highlighting what an opportunity it is to be in the trades is going to hopefully help the workforce issue. But a different topic, and then I'll get off of it, is that also I see that we're losing some of the grittiness in people that it takes to be in the trades. And that kind of freaks me out. Like just in my company alone, you're kind of getting to a time where maybe people were parented differently, and it's really hard to find people who want to do the hard things consistently. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting.
Well, luckily we need less of it, right?
Yeah.
That's a really deep conversation, actually.
Yeah.
And an incredible reply, Stephanie, because that is true as well.
I'm sorry. Like, you have to be really good to stay. You know, it's not that we don't need people, but our people are going to have superhero capes on now. So I don't need the same army to do that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I need the really awesome human to go in the Iron Man suit. I need that real awesome human to wear the cape. I'm not doing it without them, but the heroes in my company, they're augmented with a lot of support. And if you can't carry that weight, if you can't carry that cape, then you can't work here.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. And, you know, Brad's been with us just a few weeks now, and it's amazing what he can get done because of AI in just a few weeks. But during our first phone conversation, one of the first questions he asked me, well, I'll take it back. I was like, Brad, the only thing I want you focusing on right now is product. And he's like, okay, well, when I'm done with product, we're going to work on the people side. So he said, tell me, or at the same time, tell me who your best
you got to do them both.
Tell me who your best CSR is. Tell me who your best SDR is. Tell me who your best AE is. And we're going to use AI to give them, what'd you call a Superman suit? Or
it was Iron Man. It was she.
Oh, wow.
And to full disclosure, like I stole that. I saw Ramp CEO speak late last year, and that's how they described it. They had their best SDRs and they built Iron Man suits around them, and their results speak for themselves. So
I'm working with a company called HireAlign to hire for culture, and they use the Iron Man suit idea.
I love it. To me, it's a great term for where we are with AI right now. It's augmenting, it's giving superpowers, it's not replacing. I'm an optimist by nature, I think, with tech, but I really do believe it's like there's so much doom and gloom about replacement and all the stuff it takes away. I think it's going to give so much more productivity and so much new opportunity. And we're hoping to bring that to contractors.
So the fact is, it is replacing in droves hundreds of thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands, floors and floors and floors of resources that are going to be looking for a new home. And
So, Jen,
everyone, I believe, is starting to look at the trades as what is going to be left when I don't even know what to call it, but what is going to be left, right? The trade is going to be, I would say, if you go to any other country, an HVAC company is looked at with the same prestige as a lawyer or a doctor or anything else. It is very, very high. And I think in the United States, it's going to continue to elevate as literally I mean, I live in Seattle. I live right down the street from Google, right down the street from Amazon, right down the street from Meta. I live next to every one of these. These office buildings are freaking empty. And those people are very smart, very high tech. And right now, the average number, I mean, just here, we're going to one income households and they are looking for a new home. And this has got to become something that is attractive. Those that have a high tech nature are going to attract these people. They are. I mean, I sit with my neighbors and talk to them.
We're going to ship. I just read an article last night that said that light commercial is really the next space to develop in the trades, and that there is a lot of opportunity in light commercial. And so I'd say the heavy commercial, not so much, like you're talking about those big buildings, but the places where people are shopping, right? The places where you go to get your coffee. That is where there's going to continue to be a lot of business. And so we haven't been taught that generally as we've been building to sell, right? The build to sell model is be really strategic on building your residential. At Airworks, we've always had both. And I think that we are going to put a more conscientious effort into building that light commercial space.
So we have to, from an SEO standpoint, we got to remember it's not called light commercial. It's a restaurant. It's a medical facility. We got a bit of work to do on that. But yes, the segment, we need to pick out the actual term.
But everybody has to play along, right? So now I have to make sure that the shopping and contractor commerce is producing information for the shop owners to find us in that space. And Stephanie can pull in that data, and we're permitting those. And so it's an evolution. It's an evolution. And I think that the mid-sized company can do that, right? We can pivot pretty quickly, but we need to see that opportunity. And we had been told for a decade, stop paying attention to your light commercial, right? You need to have membership plans and you need to be in the homes. But what does that membership plan look like at the next level? Instead of doing split systems, we're just doing package units. Like, what's different about that space? But I think that pricing transparency is going to be bigger than just homeowners.
I would agree with that. We need to map that. We need segment by type, by persona, by stage, and by geo target. And we have to build that first, get you found, and then you're going to start getting those calls, and it's going to create a whole nother sequence of problems you got to deal with.
This is what happens is I spitball like this with Jen, and then she goes and builds it, and then I have to figure out how to operate it.
Well, I want to play with this in real time, because this is a use case that we're accounting for in this new version of conversational commerce. So Brad, I'm going to ask you a question here, give you a second to get off mute. Stephanie, let's say she's working with us and she's just doing residential HVAC and plumbing, and she decides we're doing light commercial. How does the conversational commerce function of contractor commerce, that's a mouthful, how do we train that? Or does she come to us and say, hey, we're doing light commercial now, or we're doing this, or we're doing excavation? What does that look like in your view of what's possible?
Yeah. I mean, part of how we're architecting it, right, is like we have a settings or admin layer, right, where you tell us what services you're offering and who you're targeting. So that helps kind of preload and pre-train our agent on like what you offer, and kind of informs it about your services. So, whether it's residential or light commercial, the AI agent is sort of using the context as it appears. So if that person types in an address that appears to be a commercial building or something like that, it's probably going to be informed and take you down a different path. So that's how we're architecting it, is like it very much knows what you do and what services you provide. I'd say like for the initial version, we don't have massive customization yet, but that is a roadmap where we're talking about not only custom avatars and prompting about how the language you want to use, but we're talking about give us your sales scripts, give us your SOPs, give us how you think about like commercial work, in the sense that the more context your agent has to represent you on your website, the better that experience is going to be for that person trying to, go through the process with you.
You need our JSON file. I'm just saying that. You need our data pack. From our JSON file that comes from them, that's what you need to start.
But then, do you know what needs to happen? Is all that information that you've collected in order to get that customer then needs to be translated into the sales process. And so it should feel seamless for them as we present. How do they want to be presented to, right? What kind of disc analysis have you already figured out from your conversational exchange with them that, oh, this particular customer needs more data?
That feedback loop happens when we have a full circle. We're collecting the initial scope for awareness, decision.
It's fragmented still.
We need to have the full circle where the actual transaction and the review all feed back into the same layer. So you can see what was the initial query, what was the prompt question or query that got them to convert, what was the transaction or pricing engine conversation that got them to convert again, what was the sales presentation that got them to close, what did they close on, what was the consumer's sentiment, and now how do you turn them into an advocate?
And so what we're doing is we're saying, okay, tech, you go figure it out. Well, we have to do better than that. Like, it cannot be our technician trying to piece together how they came in to where they need to go. And it's broken right now. But I'm excited about helping build that loop and really understand how to present. Look, she's got her thinking hat on, you guys. This is what freaking happens. Do you see Jen right now? She's back in her thinking spot. So we'll solve it. We'll solve it together. But I'm so excited about building this in the trades, and hopefully it's keeping the middle guys alive. And we're going to provide a better experience for homeowners than we've ever been able to before.
Paul, have you guys ever, I love that. Paul, have you guys ever worked with an agency so that you guys are in sync on the data layers between what you're concentrating on for the product and what they're concentrating on the content layer? Has that ever been married?
I don't think so. Maybe in some one-off scenarios with like larger enterprise clients, but not on just the standard core customer relationship.
It just makes sense to me.
It should be every time. We should be doing that. That is our that's what we need to work on. Mm-hmm. That synchronization has got to happen.
Yeah.
So I was on a call this morning with an up and coming tech company looking to do essentially what Rilla is doing, but smaller. And that was my thought process to them, is like, why doesn't this tie in with my sales presentation tool? It's like when you call the doctor and you have to tell every single person you talk to the same story again. We should not make that the experience for our homeowners or for our technicians.
Well, the fact that you have a different field management system, a different e-commerce system, a different sales presentation system, and a different marketing engine, and nothing talks is problem number one.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're working on that. So
I was just going to say that's a key part of how we're viewing it as well. Obviously, we're a great partner with Service Titan and having that integration, but like having visibility all the way down the chain is important for us to sort of tie it out. Like, here the homeowner came in, here was the conversation, here's where we got them. How did it ultimately, end up? It's so huge.
It's going back to personal customization, right? Like, for a while, that's how we sold back in the day. Face-to-face, human interaction. And then we went to trying to make cookie cutter solutions for everybody. And we're going to try to plug them into good, better, or best, right? It's not going to be like that anymore. It is going to go back to personalization. And we have the companies that figure that out are going to win.
That and truncating your tech stack. It's too many different pieces of technology.
Compressing time. I need to be able to move fast. I want from the time a homeowner thinks they want us in their home to selling it, that time needs to be as compressed as possible. And what's happening right now is it's getting longer. It's taking more touches for me to make it close. That's where I lose them. I don't want to lose a homeowner in that mess. And you know what? Homeowners don't want to do that work either. It's not a service to make them go and get 17 quotes.
No. I mean, the homeowner doesn't want to, yeah. They also don't want to have to put in 15 contact forms to have no one return their call or for it to take 10 hours either.
And the other person that's missing from this conversation is finance. Right? Like, where are we finding the money? Because the average homeowner doesn't have $41,000 laying around to redo their HVAC system and their ductwork. Right? How can we make that less, still make the companies do really well, and make it accessible for homeowners? What's that model look like?
Yeah, Stephanie, I'd say, like, I mean, we're going to try. So one of the things about conversational commerce is we're leading them further down the path. Closer more towards the Carvana experience. Put a down payment, check out entirely, schedule if you've got availability and we have access to that. And I think for some consumers that will resonate. Others will still need their handheld to go further down that path, right? But we want to give homeowners the option and still make it a tool that works for the contractor as well. But we definitely have aspirations of kind of like giving the homeowner what they want and the ability to do that if they want to do it.
Carvana scares me too, right?
But I do all my transactions on there.
But
I
as a
would never go
contractor,
into it.
as a contractor, it commoditizes us. Like, are we going to be in a scenario where we're like a home warranty company and the industry has decided this is what you get paid for that thing?
Well, the manufacturers are probably way ahead of that. So manufacturers decide to go direct to consumer, then they're just going to be subbing work to contractors. That's already in motion. They've been working on that for years. Now they'll just be able to do that earlier. So that is a piece of the equation we need to prepare for, and why this is so critical now. In every other country, contractors are also subbed work. They do not rely on contractors to be good at marketing, to be good at closing, to be good at anything. The manufacturer goes directly to the consumer. They generate the consumer and they sub out the installation, and that's all it is. That's a proven model with every major manufacturer in every other country right now. Well, they've already worked that out. So yeah. Commoditizing is
awesome. That's just
and Stephanie, I'll say, let me say, like, I think there is a world where it doesn't become a commodity. And like in my mind, Carvana, like that's one brand. And like the cool thing about Carvana is it's such a slick experience. Like that's why it evolved and that's why it became so popular, right? Is like it was so good in the way it was delivered. I think what's cool about what we're trying to build is it would allow you as the individual contractor to provide a very slick, tailored experience that is seamless. And I think that would elevate you and not commoditize you, quite honestly. I think it would actually highlight you as a crazy good operator. And people would, they would tell other people, you would not believe the experience I just had with Airworks, right? I mean, that's our hope.
I'm going to start using that word slick in my prompts. I haven't had that one yet before.
What do you have to lose by trying something like that in the market that we're in right now? Like there's not a whole bunch to lose trying to move forward like that if you're doing a pilot. And I like to do everything in chunks in a pilot to see how it works in a specific area first. One of my questions for you guys is, and I'm totally ignorant to this, is anybody doing it like instant virtual assessments for their initial calls? I know I did some testing for some of my contractors, like as a neutral third party, I'm like, I'm going to call and test your systems for you. I'm going to have one of your technicians come to my home and I'll give you a full evaluation of everything that happened when they walked in the door, what they said, how it was. Did somebody answer my phone call? Can I text? Can I schedule an appointment? How many times did I counted clicks for contractors? How many times do I have to click to actually get somebody to help me?
There's a tool for that.
It was disappointing, I think, to most of them, probably because they always think their technology is working so well, and it's not in real time for a real customer. But one of the things we're doing, just kind of breaking into in Canada, is considering this option where there's a funnel at the top, and one of the options might be a virtual assessment to begin with. Let's see if we can virtually diagnose and then put you into the funnel of the Carvana experience, where everything you are doing is going to be in and out. You're checking out. The problem is easily diagnosable. I'm saving profit by not sending someone. I'm not rolling a truck to go diagnose a capacitor if you already know that's what's happening. And then we can make that happen, and we can price, and we can do the financing right over the phone with some clicks. But then there are going to be that 20% of complex issues where you need to roll a truck.
I mean, we're doing that with some monitoring, like smart AC monitoring is essentially doing that. So you can kind of diagnose from that space.
I have a client in Dallas. I'm not allowed to disclose because he believes he has the only business model like this.
Yeah.
But we got him doing these virtual assessments when COVID came around. We set him up. We got him on virtual appointments. We built his website for this virtual appointment. To this day, he will explain it as, I haven't put on pants since then, because he's quoting and closing 100% of his jobs over the phone. He doesn't ever roll a truck.
Yeah.
And he has a smaller percentage of things that he loses. What were you going to say, Paul?
I was just going to say, just today, and talking with the plumbing coordinator here and the HVAC coordinator, that's how they do it. They do, it's an inside sales kind of funnel, and they will do a virtual engagement with the consumer. If the consumer wants them to come to their home, they certainly will. Like, it's on their terms. But I was just talking to the inside sales coordinator. She does 1 in every 2 pricing requests for water heaters turn into an installed water heater over the phone, through text, through video like this.
Who's teaching that? Where do we find that information to plug it in?
It's funny. I just talked to the team here today as I was kind of learning their system and how they've adapted what they do based around this online pricing model. And by the way, they're not cheap. They're the second highest price company in the market.
I don't want to be cheap.
And I told them, like, we should teach it here. We should just bring people here and teach the model, because you see the people. You walk by their office. I'm getting ready to walk out and talk to someone here in a moment, and like, it's amazing how it works, and it's so simple. I mean, it's just doing things differently.
I'd like to go check it out.
Yeah, we would love to have you.
Yeah, I'll go check it out. I'll write a blog on it or whatever.
It's a long flight, but yeah, we'll probably do something here. It's pretty special. So
I love that.
Awesome.
Is that your only company that's doing straight over the phone sales, or do you have anybody else doing virtual?
No, and I should say it's not straight over the phone. They obviously send people out to the home as well. No, a lot of them have kind of adapted to it, where it started in COVID, where as mandatory, and then it became really, really efficient. And so I would say a lot of them are kind of running a hybrid model, and it's kind of a speed to lead, speed to trust, speed to proposal, speed to commitment. Because you guys, I mean, Stephanie, you know this, like, you're looking at your job board today, like, you need jobs from today's stuff tomorrow. And like, I can
today's stuff this afternoon.
I know, that's so true.
That's the thing with AI is not only is it giving information, but it's increasing the speed at which consumers demand reaction. And so, like, we don't see it till it's way past you guys, but like, when your customers start demanding things fast, well, we've gone from 3 years ago, pulling a permit in like 3 weeks to 30 days was like, that was fast. And today, like 24 hours, like, boom, instant. You tag your job, we pull the job, we're pulling your permit. So I can imagine myself as a customer, like, yes, I want to click, figure this out right now. I already know how much money I have. I know what my financial situation is. Tell me to turn whatever on. I can do the basics. And then decide.
Those are the companies that are going to win. That technician should already be demoing their stuff right before they leave. Go ahead and demo it, because my install crew is going to be right behind. But every layer has to play along, right? I have to be able to permit it that fast. I have to be able to get my equipment that fast. Yeah, I mean, my kids are upset when their transformer doesn't show up in the overnight delivery instead of like the afternoon delivery, right? Like, this is what's
started
happening.
with Amazon, it moved to Uber, it moved to Carvana, it's moving to the trades.
Yeah.
And even medical. Like, I won't go to an actual doctor because I can just talk to my doctor on FaceTime. Like, why do I need to go unless there's a
went
catastrophe?
into the dentist and there was no human at the office. There was a computer screen with a virtual receptionist sitting in the office. No human was in the office other than the actual
dentist. You got a robot massage too.
I do. I have robot massages. His name's Charlie.
All right.
I can't wait
to wrap up. So last thoughts for where we are. Who wants to take us first? Paul, you're about to say something.
Oh, you go.
I'm going to say a counter. I'm going to have a counter position because all of this is really exciting. And like, obviously this is what we do full time, but gosh, human to human stuff is just awesome. And it's only going to get more awesome. Like handshakes and hugs and fist bumps and I think I'm most excited about like having the best of both worlds, like having the best of AI.
Have more time to do that.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm very, very bullish on the industry and I'm just very optimistic right now.
Good. It's beautiful. Brad, are you optimistic also?
Yeah, very optimistic. And Jen, to your point earlier about the job loss, I feel like it is this weird thing where there's a lot of short-term disruption because of how fast this has all occurred. But I do feel like on the other side of this, there will be new jobs and new roles created. I'm an example actually of that. There's never been a VP AI and innovation at a company. These roles exist now. And so I think there's a lot of net new stuff to be created. And I think like our view of the AI conversational commerce experience, I think just attracts new customers to you, that otherwise you may not have gotten at all with your old process. And so I am optimistic that it's just a net new thing to help you.
There's going to be a lot of hard problems to solve too. And so thankfully we have smarter tools to solve them.
Yep.
Love that.
Stephanie, thoughts? Anything to wrap us up?
My thoughts are that I think this is very exciting. It's a privilege to be a part of all of it and just to work with so many amazing contractors. But also, I just want to encourage everyone to price accordingly, raise the prices in the industry according to the people now you have to provide training and talent for, and your experience and the limited number of people in our communities that can do this work. So price accordingly and don't be afraid of that, because as you can see, like the most successful companies are pricing high. So that's probably my closing comment, but thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. All right, Jen.
Rocket, you got it.
I'm pumped, you guys. I am pumped about building these tables of collaboration, and that's how we're going to go far fast. And we're compressing time. And my biggest is that we're serving people. And I just love that we have so many brilliant minds solving these problems to continue to provide solutions for humans. And so thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah, agreed.
Love that.
I think everyone that spent 2 hours with us today, thank you so much. Whether you're getting this in short clips or you were here for the long haul, I think this is a thinking game, a collaboration game, and Steph says it best, is you need to build the right table. Then you need to narrow your focus. This is not the moment for shiny objects. So without clarity, you cannot focus. Without focus, you will not execute. If you do not execute, it's very difficult to win. So this is the moment when you need to get crystal clear, which means you're probably going to have to learn things that you never wanted to learn before. Steph said it best. Buckle up, buttercup. It is what it is. Like, suck it up. We got to get there. But if you write down anything, clarity, focus, execution, and then put the freaking blinders on for a minute. Like, we got to get in the pocket. We got to stay in the pocket. We got to work in the pocket. And we're going to have to do it together. Like, do it again. Yeah. We're going to have to reassess.
Do it again. Do it again.
Yes. Do it again. And get your freaking vendors talking and working together. They need to be strategizing together. These little pockets of vendors that are really working together can work better for you. They can solve bigger problems. Just keep it tight. All right. With that, you guys, thank you again for all of you guys for showing up to the Boardroom Conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
Let's go build great things.
Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.